Yeah, what's going on, you guys, and welcome back to my channel, Action Creature. Today we are taking a look at the SH Monsterarts Godzilla -1. So, my friend Charles, my good friend, every time he sees this figure in one of the comparisons in my videos, he kind of is like, man, that -1 looks really good. Do you think I should get it? It's looking extra crispy, talking about the sculpt. And, he hasn't got a Monsterarts in years. I think he said since 2015, but this one has him kind of thinking like, oh, you know what, maybe he should get back into Monsterarts again, because I gotta be honest, it is a really good looking figure. I definitely could not pass this up. But yeah, I want to kind of answer that question for everyone today. Should you get back into Monsterarts if you've gotten out of the game? Because, now there's things like Super 7 and Hiya Toys, and where does Monsterarts fit in if you haven't been collecting it? And yeah, like I said, I'm going to try to answer that question. So let's just start it off with the detail. So we are just going to get up close and personal here for a second. And I just want to show you guys the eyes. The eyes are actually symmetrical on this Godzilla. So I know that's a thing for a lot of Monsterarts. Sometimes the eyes on the Godzilla figures are a bit messed up, but here it's not an issue. And even the teeth are really nicely painted too. So that's really nice. And it's not all sloppy and terrible looking like their recent legendary Godzilla figures from Monsterarts. Those are just terrible. I don't recommend anyone get those. Just go with the Hiya Toys. But when it comes to sculpted detail and articulation, I don't think there'll be another company to beat out Monsterarts, at least in the articulation department. But we'll get to that later. With that being said, though, just looking at the sculpt, look how much texturing there is all over this figure. It's crazy. The feet look really good. I like how they're all it's a bunch of layered scaling on the feet, and it looks awesome. So much deep detail with the legs as well, just so charred up and just crispy looking, like my friend Charles says. But yeah, looking at the chest there, just so much detail. And people want to say oh, Monsterarts is too expensive, it's not worth it. But this is the reason why. They're paying really good sculptors to actually hand sculpt these figures. Whereas when you have something like the Super 7 Godzilla here, this is it's a computer generated sculpt, 3D sculpted. That's how they have renders for their pre-orders. They don't show the actual figure, they show a 3D model of it. So this is not hand sculpted, and you can see why. Look how smooth it is. There's no texture on that leg right there, barely anything. So yeah, just look, it's super smooth when you have a Monsterarts though, and you look at the legs, super bumpy and detailed. Just look at all the detail. They do not skimp out when it comes to that department. The sculpt is just amazing, and it's really accurate too. Sorry, I have a corgi and she sheds like crazy. But yeah, looking at the dorsals here, just look at all the detail, and the paint too. There's a nice kind of army green dry brush over all of it, and it looks just amazing. Super accurate to the movie. And the only reason why Super 7's -1 looks really detailed is because they have a 3D file of this Godzilla. It's a CGI Godzilla, so they had access to the 3D file. Whereas when you look at their Heisei figures, the sculpt is just not there at all. It's not even close to accurate because they're having to sculpt it themselves. So it's just something to consider. hand sculpted versus, you know, a 3D model. I think hand sculpted usually wins out every time. But yeah, so for the sculpt and detail, I mean, it's an amazing looking figure and you can't go wrong. It is $140, but I think that's due to all the engineering that this figure has, whereas other figures, you know, like Super 7 or Hiya Toys, they don't have this much engineering, and I will show you what I mean when we get into articulation. So let's just go ahead and do that now. So here we are, starting at the head. Obviously the jaw opens and closes, and the tongue moves as well. It's on a little ball joint, so that's cool. You just push that back down, it's no problems. So the head will look really far down. And these dorsals right here actually move as well, so you can get the head looking up even more. So before you move the head up, you can just kind of scoot the dorsals forward. Oh, and this one over here popped out, but let me just show you how they go back in. So it's just a little tiny peg right there, and it even has an R on it, so you know which side it goes. And then there's a hole right here, and you just push it back in there. Not a big deal. They're just held on with friction. So if you don't want them to move, you could just glue them in and they won't move anymore. But yeah, so they just push right in, and that helps Godzilla's head look up like a lot. So you see that he's looking a good bit up, not straight up, but oh, let me straighten out the body. Yeah, so there you go. He's looking straight up with the body straightened out. And then, you know, when you curve it down, like I said earlier, he'll look straight down too. Now when it comes to pivoting the head left and right, my neck was a little bit tight when I got it, so I just warmed it up with a hairdryer, and it moves a lot better now. So tilting the head left and right using the neck has really good range of movement. You see? So yeah, nice range of movement there, and I guarantee like no other company is going to give you that range of movement. Sorry, knocked out the little dorsal again. But you know, once it's posed, these dorsals aren't falling out or anything. It's just if you bump them, yeah, they're gonna come out because they're just held in with friction. So maybe that could have been done a little bit better, but it's not too bad. And it's kind of hard to remember like which way the dorsals should go, but yeah, you could always just pull them out and put them back in if they're in the wrong way. But yeah, so that's the head and neck area. Now for the arms, the shoulders will go out this much, and then in all the way, and then obviously they'll go up, and honestly just do a 360 right there. So that's really good. For the biceps, there is a bicep swivel. And for the elbows are a little bit weird, but yeah, they will straighten out that much. And they will bend in that much. I think you can like kind of push this piece into the bicep to get it to move more, but yeah, I probably have to heat it up to do that. And then for the wrists, they're on a ball, so they will go down that much and up that much, and obviously they will rotate. And then for the torso, he'll lean side to side really nicely. And then he crunches forward that much, and he will go back that much. So it pretty much just straightens out right there. For the legs, they will go all the way forward, really far. I mean, you could probably do a 360. Yep. They'll go out to the side that much and in this much. So pushing them together, they go in that much right there. And yeah, so for the knees here, they're on a ball joint as well. And I really like this engineering. So you move the knee down and then this little cover piece comes out. And then you move it back, it slides back in to just, you know, keep that seamless sculpt. So I really like that. So forward and back right there. And then with the knees, you also have some play at the knee to help with ankle movement. So that's nice too. And then for the feet, they will go down that much and up that much. And then let's see here. Godzilla's kind of spiky, so it's kind of awkward moving his feet around. It's like hard to find somewhere to grab him. But yeah, so the feet will go in that much and out that much. And then another really cool thing with this Godzilla is you wouldn't really tell if you're just looking at it, but the toes are also articulated. So the toes will all move down. And you can get the foot kind of flat, and then they can all move up. And this is so you can get Godzilla standing on his toes like he does in the movie. Kind of like Shin Godzilla a little bit in that way. So yeah, I love the leg and feet articulation on this figure. It's honestly one of the best for a Godzilla. But yeah, now let's go to the tail. So the tail will completely straighten out if you wanted to, unlike a Super 7 figure where they sculpt it with a curve in the tail so you can never actually straighten out the tail. So you can have the tail just laying completely flat on the ground right there, and that looks nice. And then going down even more, you can have Godzilla flying. And it even, you know, curves even more than that, honestly. Just kind of have to work the joints a little bit to get them moving, but yeah, see, it curves a lot. Now going left and right, let's see, move that back up. And you know, it's a Monsterarts, so they're all on ball joints. Obviously, you're gonna have some pop out here and there if you're really pushing the figure to its limits. Let's see, this little tail joint right here, don't want to move. Okay, there we go. So curving the tail. Yeah, I mean, you know, seeing how much I'm having to pop stuff back in, you know, might dissuade you from going with Monsterarts, and that's okay if you don't want to deal with that. There's always Hiya toys. But yeah, so curving the tail both ways, it will curve in that much, so that's really nice. Just the thing with Monsterarts, it's just kind of like a preference of what you want. You know, do you want something super detailed that no company is probably gonna ever top, or do you want to look for something else? So it's just kind of a balance, you know, like you got all these ball joints, they do pop out, but they easily go back in. And I'm, you know, pushing them to the limits, really trying to show you guys how far they can move. So it's not really Monsterarts' fault. I'm just pushing it all the way. So moving the tail up, goes up that much. So that is it for the articulation there. Like I was saying earlier, you know, some stuff pops out, but if you're just doing normal posing, I really haven't had any issues with popping stuff out. Like this has really been the only time where a lot of things have popped out because I'm really just articulating it so much. But once you get it in a pose on the shelf, it just looks amazing and nothing's gonna fall apart from it just being posed. So I don't think you have anything to worry about. But yeah, so here is our -1 Godzilla. We'll just kind of put him in a cool pose for comparisons now. Kind of hunch him over. Get those hands out to the side like how he does in the movie. What's really cool with this Godzilla too is like you could really get his feet back and move those toes up to make it look like he's actually walking. You see that? That's pretty cool. I think, at least. And then you could even pose him like with the tail off the ground too. We can go like this and make him look up right here. And he'll stand just fine once you get that balance. See? There you go. I mean, this is the type of thing you can't do with the Super 7 or a Hiya Toys figure. This is why I think, like, in some cases, you know, Monsterarts is always going to win, because you're not getting this with any other company. And it's just one of those things, like, if you want this, then, you know, Monsterarts is obviously the way to go. But if you're fine without it and just want to do, like, neutral poses or, like, kind of slight posing, then other companies are good for you. But for me, this is why I'll always love Monsterarts, because of this right here. I just love how posable they are. And obviously they have, you know, there's drawbacks there, like the ball joints and stuff, but, you know, the sculpt and the paint is really good. And obviously that can't be said for every Monsterarts figure, but as of late, you know, Monsterarts has really been stepping it up. They've had Gigan, Godzilla -1, Iris, just a bunch of really good releases lately, so I can't complain. Besides the Monsterarts stuff, I mean not Monsterarts, besides the Monsterverse stuff, Monsterarts has really been killing it. But anyways, yeah, let's do some size comparisons. So up first we have the Hiya Toys Godzilla 2019, and these two look really good together. I think they scale well. I don't know if it's movie accurate scaling, but they look good together. I think Legendary Godzilla is the biggest besides Earth, so they look really good together. Up next, we'll compare him to Earth Garon, or Garon. And they look cool together. And then we've got Ultraman. And, you know, one day we really need to see a Godzilla versus Ultraman fight. You know, it's just been too long. It needs to happen. So Hollywood, if you can do it with the Monsterverse, let's get it done, because these two need to fight. And then lastly, I will compare it to a Bandai King Kong with the tag. But yeah, so that'll be it for this video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did like the video, you know, if you could just give me a like, and if you like the kind of videos I'm making, subscribe too if you want. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down and tell me why you didn't like it. But I'm curious to hear y'all's thoughts. What do you think about everything I've been talking about here, between like SH Monsterarts, Hiya Toys, Super 7? Is Monsterarts still a line that you guys consider buying, or are we all just waiting for Hiya Toys to do things now? Or are you waiting for Super 7? Let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think. But yeah, so that is it for this video. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.